Mike, turn your games down.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome to another movie episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who is cursing their family with me tonight?
I'm Bill from A Gamer Looks at 40, and I'm old enough to know when life's coming at me with its pants down.
Kyle F., and I am in the kitchen making peppermint schnapps.
Lovely.
That does sound good. Isn't that alcohol?
Yeah, schnapps.
Okay.
Yep.
I was like, I want to make sure I just wasn't being an alcoholic right there. I was like, oh, that sounds like alcohol.
Yeah.
Nope, that's booze.
Yep.
Okay, good.
I
don't drink much anymore, but
I actually hate peppermint. Like, mint in general makes me gag, but like I would totally drink a peppermint schnapps.
That's impressive. I like peppermint stuff, but I don't know how I feel about peppermint alcohol. But then again, I don't. I drink Fireball sometimes because so what do I know?
Oh yeah.
He loves it. That's why I drink it. I don't like it. It's fine.
Yeah, I get it.
But this is a Patreon voted. We had a tie. And this is one of the Christmas movies that you guys chose. So this is releasing on Christmas Day. We're going to talk about Krampus. Came out in 2015, directed by Michael Dougherty.
Yep.
I know I was pretty sure that name is. We have looked at his other movies before.
Yes, we have Trick or Treat.
Oh, that's why I recognized him.
Yeah. He's also done a couple of the recent Godzilla and King Kong movies.
Oh, he wrote them, I see.
Yep, and I think he directed a couple of them too.
He directed Godzilla King of Monsters.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. You got it right.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, we almost done all three of his directional movies so far. Hey, that's impressive, right?
Holy crap. It's a podcast record for us. A returning champion of directors for the show.
Oh, it's always
Yeah, we're getting the legends out of the way. We're all these Michael Dougherty, and we started on Eli Roth, so we're all the tent poles of cinematic expertise are now completed.
Really the greatest directors on Games My Mom Found. Now, like fucking Steven Spielberg. What a fucking loser. Fuck that guy.
But not bad.
Have you ever done a Scorsese movie on this podcast, sir?
No, we haven't yet.
I don't think you have.
No,
Why would you? Why would you, that hack?
I've done over 100 and I think it's getting near. I know it's over. Yeah, I think it's over 130 movies. Yeah, I haven't done one Martin Scorsese movie yet.
Okay.
There's a lot of bad movies in that 132. There's some great ones, but there's some bad ones too.
Yeah.
But so Krampus, I would like to start these memories. I heard of this movie because of a Funko Pop that I thought was based on the movie. It was not, because the Funko Pop is a big furry Krampus that looks like a demon-ish thing, not demon version of Santa Claus.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what I expected. And then I realized, this is just something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I've never seen this movie before. I've always been curious about it. That's why it ended up on the Patreon poll, because I was like, I wonder how this is. So that's my memory with this. Kyle, what is yours?
So my history of this goes back a little ways, actually quite a bit to pretty much its release date. I actually saw this movie in theaters because I had already seen Trick or Treat on video. I believe I saw it on Netflix. I first got Netflix way the hell back in the day, in 2013, and I dug Trick or Treat. I was actually on the Trick or Treat episode for the show, and I dug the movie. I think there are parts of it that haven't aged well, and there's some warts, but honestly, there was just something about that movie I really, really, really enjoyed, and I don't know. There's something about Michael Dougherty, the director, that he has like a Joe Dante esque sort of thing to him that I really appreciate. And I gotta say, I actually really loved this movie. In fact, I think this is speaking of Joe Dante, I think this is a better Gremlins than the original Gremlins. There, I said it. That's my hot take.
Right.
And this is coming from someone who fucking loves this shit out of Gremlins 2. I think Gremlins 2 is one of the greatest movie sequels of all time, and I think Gremlins 2 beats the shit out of Gremlins 1.
Okay. I've never seen Gremlins 2, so I can't comment, but all right.
Oh my god. Yo, dude.
I want to.
Oh my god.
At some point.
I hope you do.
Never happened yet. And Bill, what is your history with this movie?
I don't have much. Again, kind of like Kyle, I really heard of it and it kind of came and went. It's one of those movies I always wanted to check out. I always wanted to give it a look-see. I didn't realize it had any trick or treat DNA. I think on this show I said I had seen this. I actually had not. So if I had said that on an earlier show, I have not seen this before. This was my first viewing. And I have the exact opposite opinion of my esteemed colleague. I think this is an opportunity squandered. I like this as much as I like Trick or Treat, which is not that much at all. We'll talk about it as we go through it, and I expect lively debate. I think this is the personification of opportunity squandered. Because this movie does so much work to no real gain, and we'll talk about it as we kind of go through it. We're not going beat by beat. We're just going to discuss. So we'll talk as we kind of I'll flesh out that idea as we move forward. Mm-hmm. But this movie does a lot of things right in its setup and its execution. And then it throws it all out the window for horror comedy, which again, like I said, during the Trick or Treat episode, horror comedy is very subjective. You either like it or you don't, right?
Yeah. And some people have honestly done it a lot better than others. Not everyone that does a horror comedy comes out a fucking winner. I gotta be
that's fair. And that is very true. And I think this could have been something very interesting and good. But the trade-offs the director and writer make to make this a horror comedy don't work, in my opinion. And this could have been something actually pretty interesting and fun and good. But we'll get into it. But this is a newbie for me. What about you, Mike?
Oh, yeah, it's my first time too, though.
Right.
No, you're good. But no, since we don't have Ken here, I will give you my version of the plot, the quicker version, and not as well written, not written down, and not as good. So a kid is upset with his family because his family is coming over for Christmas, and he ran out because they make fun of him. He rips it up and tosses it out and summons Krampus by accident. Dun dun dun. Yeah,
nice. That is accurate. And I should like his movies more, Joe Dante, because he's from Jersey. He's from Morristown, New Jersey.
Do you not like the movies of Joe Dante? Because
that came out the day before you hear this.
Yeah, I love Gremlins. Gremlins 2, I don't remember a ton of it. And I mentioned this during the Gremlins episode as not released yet. I love Gremlins. Gremlins 2, I don't remember much of it. From what I remember, it's very silly and stupid. And dumb. It's but I don't remember if it's good dumb or bad dumb. So I don't really have a grip in it.
So is Gremlins 1. Gremlins 1 is extremely fucking stupid and dumb, but it works.
But it's charming and cute and adorable and strange and weird, and it's entry level body horror. It's really
Gremlins 2 does all that shit too, and it does.
I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember. I have to see it, so I'll have to trust you on that one. I genuinely.
And also, Matinee is a masterpiece of a film. Matinee, Joe Dante's Matinee is such a great movie.
I've never seen that one either. So.
Never seen that either.
Oh my God, you two have to see it. Holy shit. I hope someone requests that on Patreon, because I would love to be in that episode.
Which is free. Just put it in the suggestions for future episodes, including the person that just suggested it can do that.
Oh, shit, I might do that then.
It's anything typed in that Discord suggestion list goes on a list. Whether I get to it or not, we don't know, but it goes on a list.
So take to the Discord.
Yeah.
So this movie is considered a horror comedy, and in my opinion, there is no comedy. This is a straight horror. But this is a guy who doesn't... I'm becoming more into horror movies, but I don't consider this movie that funny. This movie is just... It's not bad in that. It's just this is not funny. This is a terrifying adventure for everybody involved, and not in a good way. I didn't laugh much in this movie.
I didn't laugh, and I wasn't scared. I had an emotional flatline, much like I did through a lot of Trick or Treats. I keep bringing that up, but I had a very emotional flatline. I did not find this terribly funny.
I'm shocked if you didn't bring it up constantly, because it's the same director. It's
hard. Yeah, and I'm trying not to draw those parallels because they are different movies. They're different settings.
But no, I think that's fine if people do that if it's the same director, because there's going to be a thin line of similarities between a director's library of film.
That's fair.
Yeah, every movie a director does may have a tiny little crumb or few crumbs of similarity.
One thing about this movie because we're not going to beat by beat, but I do want to mention the beginning. why the hell does it open up with a Black Friday march, essentially, or whatever the hell? People trying to buy stuff. Like, that has nothing to do with the rest of this movie other than people are shitty. Like, no, never mind. The family is there. They're part of the shitty people, too. Never mind.
But it's showing the cynicism of the holiday, and that's what the theme of the movie is in itself, is the cynicism of the holiday.
That makes sense.
It's kind of showing us what we've become,
exactly.
in our consumeristic world.
Yeah, the shittiness of people, in a sense.
Okay, it just seemed I had completely forgot that the family was even there. I watched this movie last night, and I don't even remember. I just put it back on in the background. I don't remember much. It was very forgettable.
I'm not saying but like, really, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss them. Like, and to tell right at the end of the opening credits, you'll miss like, oh, that's the family, and then they come back to the house.
Yeah, no, I was paying attention during the first half of this movie. I paid attention to the whole movie after that. I when I do it for the show, except for one occasion, I do my best to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. No.
There was one movie that broke me, but and there was no snapping during this movie, Bill. I was writing notes and listening and watching.
Nice. I did not. My wife was playing Fallout New Vegas to the right of me, so I was glancing over as she was traversing the wasteland. She's doing another run. She's already starting another run. She finished the first one. She's doing another one on the Steam Deck. So she is a super big fan. So I was kind of glancing over at her thing and just watching. But I was mostly invested in paying attention. I have to talk about this today, so I figured I try to do my best to be present for this. Yeah, the opening's interesting. I was like, wow, this is the second movie in probably 4 calendar weeks that I've seen that has a store stampede. Wow. Okay.
That wasn't on purpose.
Did not have that on my bingo card for this year, but there we go.
Me either. I didn't know anything about either of these movies, and I was like, oh, that kind of surprised me. There's a small chuckle when the guy is holding a TV. I recognize that exact model of TV because I worked in retail.
Oh, that Roku TV that they walked across with? The Roku one? Yep.
I used to work at Sam's Club in 2014, so I know that model. That's like a $400, $500 TV at the time. But it was bringing back old days of my store, of working at stores. I'm like, oh. So
I can't imagine. This is a very quick aside, but this is what the show is all about. I was at a Best Buy yesterday, just walking. I'm kind of killing some time a little bit. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. And I walked in and I was inquiring to the person working there about, like, there was nobody in the store. It was early. It was like 9:30, 10. And I was asking, I wanted to strike up a conversation about computer stuff because I like PC stuff. I like PC dorkiness. I enjoy it. So I tried to engage the Best Buy person in some conversation, and I was completely shut down. Wow. He wanted no, and all I could think was, like, if I was sitting here at 10 o'clock in the morning with nobody in the store, wandering around straightening cell phone cases, all I would want to do is talk to somebody about graphics cards for 20 minutes. Like, that's all I'd want to do. But this gentleman was not interested in engaging me in conversation after he helped me. He was very knowledgeable. He helped me with my question. And then that was basically it. And so I can't imagine what people go through this time of year. Like, all I could think about was, like, God, this guy, poor guy, is working his butt off this year. I just felt a lot of empathy for him after I got over my initial, like, dude, I'm the guy you want to talk to about this stuff. I'm interested. Tell me about the new ARC graphics cards and how they're beating the hell out of the 4060s. And, like, I am so into that stuff, but nothing doing. So anyway, I just have a lot of empathy for people this time of year, and this is releasing on Christmas Day. So hopefully if you work in retail, hopefully your store or place of business is actually closed. I hope you're not actually working on Christmas Day.
Yeah, same.
I just can't imagine. I've worked on Christmas. Actually, hang on. Have I worked on Christmas Day? I've not. I've worked on Thanksgiving a lot, but I've never worked on Christmas Day. My every job I've had has been closed on Christmas Day. Christmas Eve, totally. I've been there at Christmas Eve, but not Christmas Day.
Actually, my current job, I worked on Christmas Eve 2 years ago, and it was dead. But I don't work in retail. But I still work. I worked in a high-end Whole Foods competitor supermarket, and it was busy on Christmas Eve. Oh boy, everyone's there getting their catering, getting their this, that, and the other thing. It's all Yeah, no, I'll stick with not having to ever do it again, hopefully in my life. But one thing about this movie that you want to say is they have some big actors and actresses. Like one, Toni Collette, she plays the mother, been on the show too. Or not been on the show, I wish been on the show, but one of her movies has been on the show, Hereditary.
Yes, Hereditary. This is a couple of years before Hereditary. This is, about 4 years before Hereditary. So, holy crap.
Yep.
I felt bad for her when I saw it. I'm like, oh, you're involved in this movie. I'm sorry.
This is also, I think, 2 years after. No, 2015. 1, 2, 3, 4 years after the Fright Night remake. So this is like a decade of her in horror movies.
Yeah. And she was 6 years after Sixth Sense. I think Sixth Sense was 99. I want to say.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know she's in that, but I haven't seen it in years.
She's the mom. She is. Oh, she has one of the best scenes in that entire movie. Toni Collette is a treasure, and the fact that she was in this movie. My first thought when I saw her name pop up, where I saw her, I was like, "Don't waste her.
Yeah.
Don't waste Toni Collette." And they kind of did, but
how dare you?
They kind of.
She's in the whole movie until the end.
Friggin' David Koechner and fucking Allison Tolman. Like, yes, please. I love Allison. I love Allison Tolman so goddamn much, and I want her to be in more things. She was so amazing in the first season of Fargo. Like, she needs to be in more things. She's amazing.
Who is Allison in this movie?
Yeah, Allison Tolman.
Oh, okay. She's the sister.
Yeah, she's the sister and David Koechner's wife.
Okay. I did like her in this. I couldn't get over the bald guy because he's an anchorman, and all I could think of was Anchorman.
David Koechner.
That's all I could think of. And he ain't really that humorous. I mean, he's not trying to be humorous in the movies a little bit, but I'm like, this don't really work.
I remember him as the boss in Final Destination 5, and he got a fucking graphic kill in that movie.
I always remember him from The Office as Todd. Was it Todd? I think in The Office.
I think it was Todd.
Yep, from The Office. Funny guy. He's one of those reliable comedic actors who can always just. He's just reliable. He's fine. Everyone's fine. And I will always say one thing about this in a movie I didn't like too much. The acting, for the most part, is quite good. Everyone's doing a good job. Toni Collette, she could just read her supermarket list, like eggs, cheese, bacon, and be awesome. So it's not too hard for her. This is like a slow pitch down the middle for Toni Collette, but she's still good. Like, everyone is doing a good job with this.
I almost forgot Adam Scott as well. This is right after Parks and Rec ended. So right after Parks and Rec.
My wife looked at the screen and she goes, "Oh, that guy, is he really playing a dad?" I'm like, yeah, and not doing a bad job at all either. I'm doing a respectable job.
Yeah, no, he was good in this. I will definitely, he was very, I mean, I've never seen Parks and Rec, but I know the actor he was also in The Good Place for a little bit at one point.
That's right.
He's like the devil or something. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, I know him from stuff. I know he's in Severance, which I will never see until Apple releases it from its prison. So, so I knew of the actor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I thought it was cool. Like, I was happy to see him in something else just because he's someone that I think is a cool actor. Yeah. I mean, the cast is good in this movie. I didn't have any problem with the cast. I didn't have any problem with the acting. The kids act like shitty kids. Fine.
Some of them are. Like, I think the main kid, even though he has some issues but I understand why he is that way. And also, like, I'm sorry, y'all, that baby was fucking adorable. Like, just the cutest little baby. And I'm like, if anybody, especially the monsters, harm that baby, I will jump into the screen and I will fucking murder those monsters. That baby is a sweet little, adorable little angel, and I will fucking protect the baby.
Oh, that baby's killed for sure. So technically, a spoiler for a movie that came out 8 years ago, however my math is working here. Everybody dies, but then everybody doesn't die.
Yeah.
I really liked is the grandmother. She's my favorite.
Oh, sorry, Omi? Well, yeah, Omi. Yeah.
Yeah, where she only speaks German, and then they figure out near the end of the movie, she can speak English the whole time. She just chose not to.
I love it.
Sorry, there was one last person I forgot besides, the kid actors and Adam Scott and the other parents is Conchita Ferrell as the aunt, who she's really good too. I thought she had some of the funniest lines in the movie. And I usually hate characters like her, but I was like, no, she's actually really damn effective and funny in this movie.
She has her moments.
And she's, as a PG-13 movie, she's the only F-bomb in the entire movie.
I forgot to look up the rating. This is PG-13, right?
Yeah, it's
PG-13 to its detriment, to its extreme detriment. I was gonna look that up afterwards. I'm like, is this a PG-13 movie I got roped into watching?
Yeah.
Sure enough, it was. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. That answers a lot of questions.
And this wasn't a Ken pick or nothing. This was straight me because of a Funko Pop. That's why I put this movie on the damn podcast. Turned out it wasn't true.
Yeah, so the acting I think is by and large what good. And again, we're not going to go beat by beat, but the basic setup is classic holiday chicanery. We have a well-to-do couple, Toni Collette and Adam Scott. Is that right?
Yep.
Toni Collette and Adam Scott are a well-to-do couple. They have a charming little boy, and they have basically it's a Christmas vacation style family coming in for a few days to visit over the holidays with the gun-toting dad and the overwhelmed but well-meaning mother. The aunt comes, the cranky aunt who hates everything and everyone. And 3 children, two sisters and a little bebe who's super duper cute.
And a boy too.
And a dog. and a boy and a dog.
Yep.
There's a really good part with that dog, though.
Yeah, the dog has a great moment in this movie. And the basic setup is that they have to kind of just figure out, it's just the classic holidays where 2 sides of the coin are not fully working together. They're not vibing together. They don't like each other. And the movie is setting this up in such a way where it's very broad strokes, but I'm okay with that because again, this is a Christmas movie, and I allow Christmas movies to have broad strokes because again, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And I think the first half an hour of this is perfectly fine. It's slow. Once we get to the horror isn't terribly horrible, and the humor isn't terribly humorous. And as we now shift into this like family drama, I think some of the best stuff in this movie is after the first series of attacks where they're all together. And the movie has taken so much time to set up this family as these incongruous parts that I really wanted them to see them kind of learn to like each other and learn to work together. And they kind of sort of do. But unfortunately, about 45 minutes in, all of that is just abandoned. It feels like it's just thrown out the window in favor of PG-13 Gremlins horror. And again, in deference to my esteemed colleague, I don't think it's done nearly as well or as clever as Gremlins.
It's also kind of nice, sorry, no offense, but I think this movie has one thing this movie has that Gremlins doesn't have is this movie doesn't have that Gremlins has is it doesn't have any fucking racism.
True.
Yes, that's true. That's what happened. The racist guy didn't get killed by Gremlin, or didn't get killed, but gets attacked by Gremlins. Unfortunately, he survives.
Also like the Asian mysticism, which is like, that's pretty fucking racist too. Yeah. Like, I'm surprised they don't have a dude in yellow face. Like, it got that bad. Like, holy shit.
No, I mean, there is that to this that makes it a little better. But I don't know. It was just something to me was really missing from here. Like, when the starts, I'm with you with this, Bill. I know we talked about this before. I don't like seeing kids get murdered.
Yeah,
it bothers me too.
And again, I thought about that a lot last night as I was kind of like reminiscing about the movie. Thinking again, that's a me thing. That's a me. So I can't take points off if I'm giving it a score for that because that's a me thing. I don't like watching kids get killed in movies, and especially the thing with Krampus is we're kind of gonna go all over the place a little bit. The problem is with the movie itself, it tries to do too many things and does none of it particularly well, in my opinion. So it's trying to be a horror movie and it's trying to be kind of be a Christmas Vacation, and it's trying to be a little Hallmarky, and it's trying to be a little schmaltzy, and it's all these different pieces are not coalescing. So you have this very strong dividing line, probably halfway through, when it's just not melding. And then you have this kind of tonal shift. And then once they start cracking jokes again in the midst of all of the violence and the again, very tame violence and Five Nights at Freddy's type scary stuff, it just doesn't work. So for me, it doesn't work as a horror movie. It doesn't work as a comedy. And the stuff that I was actually attaching to and saying, okay, this is actually kind of interesting. I want to see this family under this extreme circumstance pull together. just turns into a slasher movie where they're all basically, murders of the week, right? And that letdown for me made this very non-congruous and was a bit too much for me to overcome.
No, that's 100%. That's where the movie, I feel, hurts itself, because I was like, okay, I was into this whole idea, like this family thing, and I didn't even put two and two together. Okay, he rips up the letter that's going to summon Krampus. And like when it started going to the horror elements, I was like, okay, this could be interesting to see how this family works. But then it kills off one of the characters I wanted to see. It kills off the teenage girl. Just throw her outside and she's on the movie.
Yeah, and she's gone. And for the longest time, I mean, and when that was happening, I was really bummed out, because the problem with the PG-13 horror movie is you get no payoff to all the buildup. That's tricky. When doing an R-rated movie, you can go for it. Like, you can show her face getting gnawed off by the Jack in the Box. And again, maybe that makes me sound like a crazy person. Like, oh, I want to see that. I need to see that. But you get the payoff. When you're doing a PG-13 movie, you really need to sell it through all the other things, through sound design, through pacing, through camera angles, to hide it, to obscure it, like Jaws. Jaws is phenomenal, right? But it's in this movie, when you don't have that and the setup, maybe it was my expectations too. I thought this was going to be like gory horror movie. I was expecting like a Violent Night. This is no Violent Night, because Violent Night's great. This is no Violent Night. Violent Night is chef's kiss compared to this.
Is that the David Harbour Santa movie?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a decent movie.
I adore it.
Really loved Beverly D'Angelo being the fucking rich, power-hungry grandmother. Like, that was pretty good. And she calls somebody a cocksucker too, so I'm like, wow, holy shit.
It's a great movie. And that's kind of what I was thinking this was going to be. I did not realize the rating in this movie, because I try to look up as little as I can before we do a movie for this show. I don't watch any trailers. I just go with it. And that hurt me a little in this movie, because had I known a little bit more, I might have stayed away from it.
No, and again, it's just that when you don't have that visceral payoff, and again, this could be expectations, so I'm trying to like not factor that in as well. That's just personal. Like, oh, I was expecting a bit of a splatterfest, and I didn't get that, which is fine. I'm not a sociopath. I can deal with a movie that's not horrifying and gross. I can deal with that. But you have to then provide that tension elsewhere. And I honestly did not feel ounce of tension. Even as they're combing through the halls of the broken down house, there's a moment where they realize, oh, Beth, I think was the teenage daughter's name. Oh, I think Beth went to her boyfriend's house. So they go to the boyfriend's house. You see what Krampus has done, because Krampus has already invaded. And even as they're combing around the house with the flashlights on the shotgun and all that, I felt no tension. I just was like, just waiting for something to be revealed. And there was. So again, I think a horror movie doesn't have to be blood and guts, but if you're not going to do that, then you really need to step your game up when it comes to the tension and the world and that tension.
Missing that,
and it just didn't have it for me.
Tense either at all. And I would have liked to have more intensity. I would have liked the movie to go there, and it doesn't. Unfortunately, like it just doesn't have those moments. I mean, we're going to talk about Gremlins again. I mean, kind of fitting we did it yesterday, or you're hearing it yesterday. Like Gremlins makes it work because of the humor, and there's some graphic kills like this. It felt like there were gonna be kills. Like the most graphic kill is watching somebody's feet go into a giant Jack in the Box. It's really, really creeped me out, by the way. There's this thing in me that does not like killer toys like that. I don't know what it is.
I get it.
Fair.
Do not like it.
Toys are meant to be for fun and merriment, not for death and destruction. That's fair. I respect. That was actually one of my favorite visual bits. That creepy clown Jack in the Box thing with the oversized. I was lorping along. I actually really thought that was a very cool looking design.
It's a cool monster design.
Same.
Yeah, I really like that as a monster design. And then swallowing the child again. It was just more, again, that was one of my, as far as the horror elements, that worked for me. Yeah. What doesn't work for me is, again, we'll talk about it, but yeah, we'll talk about it as we go through some of those horror elements. But as far as an initial setup goes, that just didn't quite do it. And the pieces don't quite fit together and creates this kind of emotional flatline. I just kind of was like,
It's a combination of things that I think it messes up on and doesn't hit right. You know, like you get rid of characters without, like we talked about, Beth goes out in the snow, she's gone. little things like that. Like, it just does things that it doesn't need to do. And it does set up a creepy premise. Like, you have the DHL driver that comes, and you see him a little bit later, he's frozen in his truck. Like, it starts off that there's going to be a little bit more, but then it just doesn't do it. Like, when he comes and there's that random packet there, and she's like, oh, is this for us? He's like, I don't know, it wasn't me. And, we as the audience are like, hey, now, that wasn't there before. And there's some little touches with that, but it was just something lacking.
So Kyle, you're a fan. So what about it works for you? Like, I'd love to hear your take on it.
I think, especially with the usage of snow, I feel like this is I think this movie has such a good usage of snow and just how scary snow is and snowstorms are, how intense that shit can be. I think the family dynamic actually works extremely well. I buy everybody's issues with each other. I think as the actors' performances also are great in this movie. I think, especially with how Adam Scott reacts to a lot of stuff, it's like, I think this movie actually blends horror and comedy very, very well. Horror is fucking scary when it happens, and the comedy is funny. Like, I think, especially like when the two Scott's character, Ben, I'm sorry, not Ben, I can't remember what his name is, but Adam Scott's character and Toni Collette and Allison Tolman's characters run up to the attic, and then they all fucking react like the really scary shit. I think, like, the mom's reactions are fucking justified. Yeah, I'd be screaming too. Holy shit. And fucking, like, I think there's a lot of good senses. There's a lot of interesting senses of panic in the movie, too, of, like, how people react to the monsters that are in the house. Like, I especially like this sequence when the kids are being picked off and the parents are getting their asses kicked. And it's like, yeah, I liked that. I really think this movie actually has some balls to it, especially where I feel like Gremlins fails as this type of a movie. This movie does so much of that better. Like, I actually feel like there's some stakes at hand. I feel like, people are getting picked off left and right. The parents are getting their asses kicked, and it's like, oh shit, okay. Like, there's some stakes to this.
That scene in the attic is a bit terrifying. Like, that angel, that thing fucking creeped me out. The bear made me...
It's supposed to be.
I like the bear.
The bear was pretty. The bear was a bit of a sweetie. But see, but here's the thing, and I think you make some really good points, and I'll agree with you on the acting. I definitely think the actors do a nice job. But there's something to do with and I agree with you. I think the family dynamic does work. At first, I wasn't expecting to want to see more of the family. And I didn't expect to really root for them to repair their relationship. I really didn't, but I was.
A sign of good horror is when you actually not only care about the characters, but you fucking root for them, especially when a movie is trying 100%. To focus on the villains as being the characters they think you care about. Like, for example, I think, especially with slasher movies, I think as much as I enjoy a lot of slasher movies, if you care more about the villain than the actual human characters, I'm sorry, that's a sign of a failure. Even if you're a good movie at that, like, I think this movie does that job perfectly of, like, I actually give a shit about all of the human characters and I want them to succeed. That's a sign of a good horror movie.
But here's the thing that I think, this is where I think it falls short for me. And I agree, because and that's why I think the first 35 minutes of this is actually quite good and does a great job of setup. And that's why, for me, it's an opportunity squandered, because it has all that great setup. But for me, so I just lost my train of thought for a second. Hang on, back it up.
Yes.
That
Give
happens.
yourself a few seconds. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Then I gotta make Mike do work, and he's gotta edit, and he's gotta he's like, and
how far you keep going, there won't be edited out.
My man's gotta do some Marvel snapping. All right, I gotta
Marvel snap.
form my thought before saying it.
Look, Bill, no offense. Look, Bill, you're a comrade to me, a podcast comrade, and I love you, but don't fucking enable Mike like that. Like,
You don't have to. I'm snapping as we're talking, so don't worry.
God damn it, Mike. The last thing you Mike doing is playing more Marvel Snap and then giving it more money. Oh my God.
I'm not giving them more money, but I am playing.
Good. Well, at least you're getting better.
Fair enough.
I got tired of watching them take money from me every month. But they still take money from every month, just less.
Okay, well, good. You're getting better.
You're good. It's a process. It is a process sometimes. You just gotta,
If you're still thinking about it, it's like with Krampus. The design of Krampus in this, he looks like a freaking deranged Santa Claus. When I think of Krampus, I think of a big horn monster.
Me too. I was not expecting that. Yeah,
that's what he looked like in the movie. He was a big horned monster.
But he looks. Well, one, this movie is not that expensive.
What?
This movie's $15 million.
Yeah, okay.
Which is not that much, I feel like, for a movie, right?
That's pretty good. I think the movie looks really good considering that budget. So
no, it's mostly fine. I wanted more Monster Krampus than what I got, but that's neither here nor there. But no, I mean, it didn't take away from the movie for me. Like the elves, at one point they have these random elves that run in for some reason. I didn't care for them. They're just people with I mean, I don't know. Something bothered me.
Okay.
I don't have an answer.
Okay, no problem.
They were ugly. I don't like
I'm not expecting you to give an answer or anything. I'm just saying, like, at first you confused me because you worded something in a weird way. And I'm like, wait, but what are you talking about? Then I think you corrected it. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
The games my mom found. So that's pretty much how that goes sometimes. But I do. There was one part in the movie where I did laugh. I cackled when the gingerbread comes down the chimney, because at one point the grandmother says, "Don't let the fire go out."
Exactly.
And you get a hint that she knows what the hell's going on here. I don't think she's told her story yet, but you get the idea that she's aware.
Yeah.
When the little gingerbread comes down and the kid just takes the bait and goes after it, I cackled.
So can we please give a shout out to the animated sequence with the grandmother? That was fucking beautiful. That was awesome.
Great. That is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I agreed.
This is gonna sound really weird as a comparison, but they're both horror movies, but they're not at all the same sort of category of horror movie. But I don't know if any of y'all saw this recently when it came out back in 2021, but this reminded me, I guess it reminded me of Krampus, but watching Krampus again, this reminded me of the really beautiful ending credit sequence for the new Candyman movie, where in the end of Candyman, the 2021 Candyman, there's this really extremely gorgeous ending credit sequence where everything is done in shadow puppets. And
awesome.
That reminded me of, and then watching this sequence in Krampus, I was like, oh, holy shit, that reminded me of Candyman. That is fucking gorgeous. That animation is really good.
It's easily my favorite part of the movie is that animated middle part where they're giving the backstory, and it's beautifully animated. It's all stop motion animation, which is always just wonderful. Yeah, I loved it. I wanted more of that. When it went back to the real world, I was like, I want more of that. Can I just get more of that animated? That was really, really cool and good. It was, that was excellent. I
want a full fucking movie of that too. If we could get a Krampus spinoff or just something done in that animation style, that was amazing.
We do a Krampus prequel in that style, and that's the prequel to it. That's the origin story of Krampus in that. I agree. I think that was actually awesome. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie for sure.
Yeah.
It definitely is one of the better parts.
Just so well animated, the mood of it is perfect. I get this really intense fucking oh wow. Just post World War II Europe, just everything is dower likeness. That is so well done.
That's a good way to put it. I didn't know.
She is. I believe she's German.
She's German, yes.
I'm German.
Okay, so I'm a terrible linguist. I have a fucking awful ear for distinguishing languages. So I couldn't exactly tell what language she was speaking, but I thought maybe it was German. But anyways, yeah.
The reason I know it's German is not because I recognize German, but because the subtitles told me she was talking in German.
So subtitles even say speaking in German. Okay, but yeah. It's I'm assuming that was a post World War II or World War I Germany, and just
post World War II.
This tiny little, this very tiny, minuscule little German village that's probably going through a horrible drought of everything, and just everyone's scraping by, and the townspeople are miserable, and they rob this little fucking girl of her bread, and treat her like garbage, and then her family hates each other, and she does the unthinkable, and it happens, and it's a living nightmare, and then she's left with nothing, and I'm like, holy shit, that was perfect.
But I think it's cute in a strange way.
No, it does. It does have an odd, dark kind of, I don't want to call it gothic, but like a kind of a grim, cute-ish kind of
Well, it's the whole
thing.
idea that appreciate what you have.
Yes.
And that's what I think I liked about it. Because I do like that concept of Krampus where, except I know the real Krampus is supposed to be that it comes to punish you, not murder your entire family.
Yes.
But, I didn't have an issue with that idea.
Yeah. No, and I again, the whole setup of Krampus is good. What I was trying to go for, though, when I was talking earlier about the setup and kind of where things went south for me was, the thing is, you're 100% right, Kyle, in that they set up these really nice, these relationships that are interesting, that need mending, and they put in the work. And the director's putting in the effort, and he's taking the time. The first half an hour of this movie has not a scare in it, not an iota, which is fine. I am super fine for that. But the problem is that we never get to the point where they have actually made those reconciliations. And what I was really hoping for, and again, this could be a curse of expectations, was as they start battling Krampus, they learn to become a team through the actions in the movie, and they never do. Because once Krampus starts invading and they really start battling, again, you have a nice moment where Adam Scott, where the father saves, where the father saves, his brother-in-law, right, and he saves him from the snow and all that. So you have some of these moments and the movie tells you they're starting to get along more, right? Like the father-in-law is saying, "Hey, I used to think you were a dipshit, but now I think you're kind of great," right? Like the movie's telling you these things. But once we get to the point where this now becomes horror movie, very junior horror movie, all of that is then tossed aside for, in my opinion, very average. Again, the effects are fine. I do like the big creepy monster. They throw all that aside. So you don't.
I think they're better than fine. I'm sorry. I don't. No.
That's fair. That's subjective, right? I think they're fine. I think I kept thinking of Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm like, these are like Five Nights at Freddy's models.
I've never seen that movie yet.
I refuse to support it, especially since Scott Hawthorne is a anti-LGBTQ bigoted piece of shit and supported Donald Trump. No, thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go then.
That's a good reason not to like it. I will take it.
I've never seen it either. I just know it from memes and whatnot. So all I could think it was that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I know it's a popular thing. A lot of people love it, but it's just like after finding out, I'm like, oh, I can't support this.
That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's totally understandable and fair. I firmly believe that people should draw their own lines on those things, and that's awesome. And I too now have no interest at all in seeing. I had like 1% interest. Now I have 0. So you just
I left because of 1%.
Perfectly fine.
So,
but just to get back to it really quickly, the problem was for me, I was really hoping I was going to watch this family repair themselves through battling Krampus, and then really looking forward to seeing what the end result was going to be, right? Even the end result wasn't like a Hallmark movie. They're all lovey-dovey at the end. I wasn't expecting that. I was really curious of what the movie was going to give me. And instead of giving me that, instead of using all this good work, all this really hard work, this setup, you just basically throw it to the side. And now it's just a PG-13 shoot 'em up movie where they're shooting shotguns at CGI graham crackers or CGI Christmas cookies. Yes. And, Toni Collette is shaking a doll around, pretending it's attacking her. It's like, you did so much good work. And if you hadn't done that good work, maybe my expectations would have been different and I would have been able to enjoy that a little more. But I was like, man, I don't. And then as all the characters are starting to get plucked away, it's like, I wanted to see some relationships get repaired because that's what you were setting up. Why did you do all that good work up to that point to just throw it away in favor for something that's, for me again, and again, I'll just say for me, doesn't hit like that. Because if they had made it where this family was repairing themselves through the actions and working together, they kind of all partner off and pair off like a classic slasher movie where these people are in the attic and you have this person fighting the Christmas cookies and you have these people in the living room. They'll kind of pair off and they fend for themselves. They all lose essentially. Yeah. And then you get the ending, which is basically a PG-13. Don't worry, the kids aren't dead. They're just trapped forever in a Christmas globe forever. That's
I think that's a pretty terrible ending for them, but I get
it
what
was
you
a pretty
mean.
terrible ending for them, and it's a downer ending, and it's fine. I don't have a serious problem with the ending at all. I think it's perfectly fine, but I was really hoping they were going to do more with all that good work they had done, and to me, I just feel like they squandered it, and that's a bummer for me in a movie when there's opportunities squandered, when there's, for me at least, again, such a clear path towards something better and more interesting. The trade-off for me was not worth it.
No, that's fair. I get where you're coming from, and I didn't realize this, but I really did like the family dynamic too, and I would have liked a little bit more of them working together. And I mean, you have a little bit of it, but then you just start eating all the kids. Like, as you're starting to feel like, okay, they're bonding. Like, I had no problem when the one kid gets eaten by the gingerbread because he took the bait like an idiot. Like, I had no problem with that because to me, I'm like, okay, you gotta get rid of somebody to give them a reason to start bonding. Then you just start getting rid of everyone. You get rid of the two girls.
And boy, does that family shake it off real fast. Like, I mean, their son, they're not, and again, they're not horrible people. They're just different people. But I think, again, as a credit to the director, it's not like a Christmas Vacation where like this awful person shows up. They're different people with different issues and problems, clearly, which again, they're very human. They felt very human and very real, which is why I like them. But boy, their son just got glommed up the chimney, and I think the father's reaction is like, I'm going to get him. Like, I'm going to get him. That's what I'm going to do right now. That's what I'm doing. That's an accurate reaction, and I think that makes sense. I just don't feel like there was much reverence for. I mean, I wouldn't have left the house looking for the girl, but I mean, I wouldn't have returned. But it's again, I think this is this movie making that transition and trading. Just making a trade that I wouldn't have made.
Yeah, I mean, they give up pretty quickly for the girl, and then they're like, well, we're going to go look for her eventually, but, like, no, she ain't coming back. There's a couple things like that. No, I completely get where you're coming from, where I was a little questionable myself about what was happening. I was like, but I did find it funny that the guy has a shotgun in his car.
I know, yeah.
An amusement.
Hey, Texas. I mean, I don't know if they're where they're from, but Texas, I'm sure I could go to a catalog and order that very same thing if I had a Hummer. And the Hummer is so of its time too, like the Hummer. Remember that was the ultimate status symbol? That's funny.
Yes.
Now it would be a Cybertruck, right?
Now it would be a Cybertruck. Yes, it would. It would be a Muskmobile, and we'd all be poor for it.
We have a few around here, actually, where I live. I see there's a couple, and one guy's license plate. Oh God! Well, I think it was meme. I swear his license plate was meme. No, his license plate was LULZ. Lulz. That was his license plate.
Oh, listen. If you're somebody out there who has a personalized license plate, that's fine. You're allowed to have. If things bring you joy in this horrid world, then let it bring you joy. That's fine. But just think. Maybe think before you write that down on the piece of paper and slide it over the desk or whatever you do to get that thing. And just give it a second, 2 beats of thought.
If it wasn't a Tesla, I would have no issues. But you're driving a Tesla, so like you're essentially being like, haha, people don't like Elon Musk, haha. But just to let you know, Elon Musk doesn't like you either. You just gave him money, but he don't like you. He's not like he's for you. He's not like, oh, good job. He's like, good job for putting money in my pocket. Other than that, he's like, fuck you. Yep. So I just don't understand why anybody bought that stupid Cybertruck, but I know people have. So
because they're dumb.
It doesn't even sound like a good vehicle. It's not even a truck. It just looks like something out of a PlayStation 1 game, or a genre, like a PS1 title. Like that's all it looks like.
Yeah.
Boy, they get dirty fast. I mean, every little spot shows up on those chrome sides. I'm not a car person. I don't know the words, but
I think it's right.
Anyway.
But it was. I mean, some other things I want to bring up. When the grandmother finally faces Krampus, I thought that was a good scene where she's like, "No, you guys run. I will stay behind." And I like that she stays behind because she had dealt with Krampus before, but I'm assuming in her case she didn't tell him she didn't throw back the bell and say I want my family back. I think she just accepted that everybody's dead and moved on. And that's why she's still alive. So that lends a question then, because
the end of the movie, we can talk about, because we're bouncing everywhere, but the ending of the movie, as we've kind of alluded to, but essentially at the end of the movie, it makes you want to think that all this is a dream of the young boy. He wakes up, it's December 25th. He goes downstairs. The family is opening Christmas presents. The family is still the family, right? His sister has a little snark still. Like, it's still the family. They're not all hallmarked out. It's still the family, but they're enjoying Christmas together. They're enjoying opening presents, the whole thing. And he opens up his present, and it's a bell that was given to him by Krampus. And he looks around, and everyone gives him this look of, I don't know what the director was going for. I think it's intended to be like this, hey, we all know what happened, or the memories are flooding back. It was like a look of almost, hey, let just play along, I guess, or let's stay pretending that we don't know what happened. But then it zooms out of the house, and it turns out that the Krampus, when he brings you to the underworld, he traps you in the little snow globe, essentially. And there's dozens and hundreds of snow globes in this giant house that pans out. And there's hundreds of these. All of the people that have succumbed to Krampus are now trapped in these little globes, I guess, eternally experiencing pleasant Christmas, I guess. So the worst thing in the world. So, go ahead, yeah.
What I was going to say is I think it's the people who rejected him and said, I want my family back. And then they end up in this hell.
Yeah, and I guess they get their family back, but they get them back in this artificial space that they don't quite know they're in. So the question was, if she was spared, so I guess she was, okay, so the grandmother was spared, so she never went into a cocoon. Because I thought was like, well, is this now like a globe inside a globe? Like, was she always in the globe, and now this is like the globe inside the globe? I don't think that's right. My
opinion is she didn't go in a globe because she accepted that everybody was dead, and she accepted her mistake, where he doesn't accept it. He says, I made a mistake, I want my family back. But everybody's pretty much dead, so your family back, sure, then you guys get to go inside a snow globe and never leave your house again.
But no, I see that's another thing that I think kind of bothered me about this ending, is that it feels like a Krampus breaks his rule, because at the end, he basically does exactly the same thing the grandmother does and says, I want my, and maybe you don't really see what the grandmother says. You just, for some reason, Krampus spared her. We don't know why, right? From the animated sequence. But he says he learns his lesson. I want my family back. Now, what I would expect based on the Krampus that I've known for the last hour and change is that Krampus would let him be, let everybody else remain gone, and now the boy, which is also a very sad ending, has to kind of live with the knowledge that his family is gone, but he now appreciates Christmas and is willing to, appreciates Christmas, appreciates Spirit's Christmas, and that is a very sad ending. But again, I don't think that would have been a very PG-13, abandon this child in this, like, the entire family is dead. So, but Krampus drops him anyway, and I don't know why Krampus did that. There's no great explanation for that. So I don't know, Kyle, maybe I missed something. Please chime in, because I might have missed something.
I think it's open up for interpretation. It could have been that he has punished the family and now they're eternally stuck in a snow globe. Or maybe they did turn back time and maybe they do get a second chance, but with a warning. Like, I think it is up for interpretation.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear they're in the globe. I just don't know why Krampus didn't save the boy, because the boy learned the lesson. And just like the grandmother ripped up the letter and stopped believing, he did the same thing. He summoned. So it's his lesson to learn. He learns the lesson. He has that moment where I just want my family, warts and all. But he still does this very cold-blooded thing of tossing him into the underworld and sticking him in the globe. So it's kind of like, well, so because what's the rule then?
The idea is that in my opinion, that the idea you learn your lesson, but you have to live with of your lesson. You don't get your family back.
Yeah, but Grandma didn't.
No, and I think
Grandma didn't get her.
And I think that's why she lived. I think that's why she was still around, is because she, had stayed alive, had made the sacrifice of giving up her family, where he, because he was going to be spared, like, hey, you lose your family, but you get to live knowing, and you can live the rest of your life knowing that you fucked up, but he doesn't want to accept that. He thinks he can just, things can go back to normal. I made a mistake, and he doesn't want to live with the consequences of his decision, and that's why he ends up in the snow globe. That's how I took it as the movie.
All right, that's
I took it that
I'll take that.
if you act like you're like, oh, you can have your family back. It's not real, but sure, here you go, have your family back. But none of this is real. Like, you are forever going to live in this fake, reality, and you will never be free again. Where if you would have accepted your mistake, accepted the consequences of what you did, you get to live, but you have to live with those consequences. And I think that's really what it is. The idea is because he learns, but at the same time he doesn't say he's like, I fucked up. Now fix it, not I fucked up. I have, that's the issue. So I thought one of the best scenes in this entire movie that made me chuckle. So at one point, the guy asks the dog to do something, and the dog does what every single dog would do, and nothing.
Yes.
And then when the gingerbread man is about to kill the bald guy from yes, about to kill him, the dog eats the cookie, and I'm like, yep, that'd be my dog. If you came to my house and came to murder me, you throw her a steak, she'll be like, go ahead, I don't care.
Done. Forget it. She'd be like,
now if I got attacked by food,
but she gets
she'd save my life.
She gets to eat. Of course, she's gonna do it.
Like, eat all the time. But I just love that because I'm like, that is so realistic. Be the dog, I'm like, oh, food. I don't care if it's running. It's food.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one. When I saw those gingerbread men, all I could think of was Shrek.
Oh yeah, definitely Shrek vibes. Yep. Shrek
Every
vibes.
time I see a gingerbread, and I always think of Shrek, and I always think of the times like, do you know the Muffin Man? Yes, the Muffin Man who lives on Mulberry Lane. Like, I think of that stupid scene every time. I don't know why.
Yep. Yeah. I had some strong Shrek vibes as well. Yep.
I don't know. They're good little murderous things. And I actually thought they were going to get some of the kids back. The fact that this movie lets the kids pretty much die besides the ending, like, that's a little dark. But so those kids don't come back.
No, they do not. The
baby gets kidnapped too.
I know. He walks off with the baby. Like, I'm barely okay with that in like art house horror, like The Witch. I'm barely okay with it there. That's a little much for my fun.
So, yeah, I think that's something I think is very ballsy to do something like that. I think it takes real balls to do that in your horror movie. And I
agreed.
I won't say I like it all the time, but sometimes I think it actually works. It raises the stakes.
Agree to disagree on that one, I think. But I totally, and again, that's why I couch that with, I know that's a me thing, so that's why I can't like say definitively that's not good or objectively not good. It's a me thing that I just don't like, so I can't factor it into my overall opinion of it. So it's not factoring into it. It's just a thing I don't like.
Well, because you have two younger kids. Yeah. I think that plays a big part.
The baby is adorable.
How dare you be a parent, bro? I'm kidding.
It's one of those things where, like, there's certain stuff in movies and games where, like, it wouldn't have bothered me, but then now that I'm a parent, sometimes the stuff will just rub me the wrong way, even though it's not, like, in this movie, it's fine. It's not like we didn't see the kid get murdered, we just saw the kid go with a bunch of people wearing masks. I mean, it's not like they didn't do some.
It wasn't ghoulish. Yeah, it wasn't a ghoulish thing. I mean,
But seriously, that baby is the fucking cutest damn thing ever. Like, oh my god, that baby's so adorable. I want to give her a little kiss and hug and just, oh my god, he's so cute.
I think the whole thing with them, like the way this movie kind of, before you get the ending with Krampus, like, if they're trying to escape and they're doing their best to get to the snowplow, and by the time Max gets there, he loses everybody. And then the last kid that makes it with him gets taken away too. I think that's very good, the way they do it. I didn't really think the father needed to sacrifice himself, but I mean, not right after the grandma did it. Like, the grandma just sacrificed himself, and then he sacrificed himself. I think it was too quickly. Like, it should have been a little later.
That was another that's fair. And I think that was I also, again, this is more of talking about the rules of Krampus and how it seems very arbitrary on who he chooses to save and who he chooses to kill. Because I really was it was really actually very, and again, this movie has a lot of great moments in it, and it really does. There's that moment when Krampus is kind of like wiping the tear away, I think he's wiping a tear away from the grandmother. Grandmother is basically knows what her fate is going to be. Why does he murder? Why does he kill her? Why does he stick a sack full of munching monsters on her face? Like, why does he do that? For what purpose? Like, was it because she didn't prepare them enough, or maybe she didn't bake enough delicious German Christmas cookies for
those cookies at the very beginning of the movie look amazing. I want to eat those.
Those little balls, those like little Christmas German Christmas ball things.
She made like fucking authentic gingerbread people cookies.
Yes,
I want to
so
eat them.
I want to take a bath in them. I just like so hungry. I was like, oh my gosh, those look so good. My wife actually makes quick aside for the holidays. She makes I've ever had like a Danish. I looked it up last night because I was gonna bring this up. Danish Christmas cake. It's got the rings on it.
Oh, I want to try one.
The Danish Christmas tree is like all these different layers of cake. My wife makes that.
This looks good.
It's an authentic recipe from her Danish father-in-law, Danish stepfather.
This tree thing?
Yeah, the Kranz cake.
That thing looks amazing.
It's baller.
It's baller.
You're telling me I need to visit you in December, Bill, when I go down there someday.
Yeah, she makes it from scratch too. Makes it everything from scratch.
Eat one right now. Oh my god.
They're pretty fantastic. So anyway, I was looking for one of those. I actually went back to the movie. I'm like, is she Danish? Because I know I've had those little ball things before. And I was looking for a Krasen cake, and I did not see one. And I was like, oh, she's German. Okay, so but anyway, yes, those desserts look delightful. I really wanted one or two.
Yes, they did. Now I want dessert. Damn it.
Same. I want a gingerbread person cookie.
I don't like gingerbread cookies that much, or gingerbread anything.
Mike, how dare you?
I'm just not a fan of gingerbread. I mean, I'll eat it if you give it to me. Like, I'm not going to say no, but I'm not a fan of it really. But I mean, the last time I had gingerbread cookies would have been at one of my old jobs when I worked at a community, and I think they probably had some that they bought somewhere that were for a Christmas party, and I'm sure I had a cookie because it was there and I was at work, so I'm gonna eat a cookie. But I gotta say, this house is also pretty big. Yeah. It reminded me of Home Alone.
Yeah, I can get that.
And I was like, it must be nice I mean, like, I feel like I'm decent off, but I'll always forget, there's money out there. I know it's just fictional, but still, like, there's people who have this. It was like a 3-story house or something. It's pretty big. In the attic, for kids get killed. Oh, another thing, when Tiffany's watching this with me, when they start boarding up all the windows, she's like, where the hell did they get all this wood from? I'm like, don't worry about it.
That's a good question. That didn't cross my mind until you just mentioned it. That's an excellent question.
I mean, my realistic answer, not this movie, but doesn't tell you, like, there are people out there who just have random wood in a garage and just random shit that just is somewhere. And in a house this big, they probably have a decent sized garage or a shed or something nearby where they just happen to have random shit just there, because that happens.
Yeah, and
it's pretty comical.
I can speak from personal experience on that. My wife is well known for going around and just picking up random pallets and random things of wood to make things with. My wife is very happy when she has a circular saw in her hand and just making things. So we always have. So we could, if we got invaded by monsters, we might have enough wood to not board up every window, but to board up a few. We could definitely board up some windows with just random wood that's lying around our garage. So yes, that's not completely outside the realm of possibility.
I have one. When I bought my house, there was one random board, like long ass board in the garage, which is now outside in the backyard because I just threw it off the deck at one point.
We are regularly getting letters from the HOA because there's like 5 pallets sitting like neatly stacked up outside, but it's in view from the street. So they'll get send us a letter. Hey, you need to move your pallets of wood or else we're going to fine you. It's like, I bought this place.
Well, didn't you know that your house is supposed to look like nobody lives there? My God.
Yes, I didn't realize that yes, it's supposed to look like a plastic Lego house. Yes, I'm well aware. I know now. I didn't realize that, but that is exactly how it's supposed to be.
We almost became part of an association type thing, but we didn't buy that house because the guy rejected our offer. But I actually worked out for the best. I got the house I'm in now, and I'm happier. But I remember I was at an HOA, and Tiff like, you don't want an HOA? I'm like, how bad can it be?
They can be brutal. They can be rather brutal. I
heard.
We will sometimes get a letter because our grass is more than 3 inches high, which means someone went by with a ruler and actually measured a blade of grass. That's what they did.
Fucking nerd. I want to find that person, kick their ass, and steal their lunch money.
Yeah, that's yes. We've gotten.
Before anything fucking gets on my. Sorry, I know that's a very boy thing to do. Like, I am not a boy. I am a fucking nerd-ass nerd. But like, hearing something as anal as that is goddamn person getting a goddamn ruler and measuring the grass. Like, God, I want to kick the shit out of you and then take your lunch money, and then go buy chocolate milk with it.
Don't buy a house in HOA.
Pretty rough. Yeah, there's some brutal ones and there's some okay ones. Ours is like okay. We've gotten letters in the mail and they come in certified letters too. It's really officially got signed for it and the whole thing. And we got one because we borrowed a camper, like a pull along camper, like a pop-up camper.
Okay.
And the person we borrowed it from went on vacation, so it was sitting in our driveway for a couple of weeks. We got a letter because we had a pop-up camper in our driveway. You're not supposed to have a camper in your driveway. It's like, I literally can't return this right now. I have to wait till this person returns from vacation. Like, I cannot get this to this person right now. I can't. We got a letter the other day because we had a folding table that was within view of the street. Like, we had a folding table because it was there. Now, mind you, to be fair, we sometimes get letters and we deserve it. We shouldn't have had those 5 pallets sitting out there just strewn about. I know. Oops, my bad. But our neighbors don't care. We've asked our neighbors, hey, do you mind if we leave these out here for a couple of days? No, go ahead. That's fine. They don't care. Yeah, so we've always, I
have a plastic, I have a plastic bin too in my backyard where you can't see it. But right by where my garbage can is in front of my garage, it's like one of those like play things for kids.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law picked it up for one of her grandkids. And then her son didn't want it, so it ended up in my house because it was already in her car. And it's just sitting outside, been there for 2 years. Just because I don't want to pay to get rid of it, so I'm just going to sit there.
You would have gotten a letter.
Oh, I've been evicted.
You've got a letter a year and 9 months ago.
I want to say it's been there 2 years. It's just sitting there. Nobody, gets covered in snow. It's just there. I'm like, I don't go anywhere. I'm just going to sit there.
Sometimes things just stay where they are because you forget to move it, and then it becomes a part of your decor.
I look at it every day and go, fucking A. But I'm actually thinking about, now that we're talking about it, I might move it back to where my squirrels are and just put birdseed on it and watch the squirrels eat. I think that's what's going to happen because it's never going anywhere. I'm not going to pay to get rid of it, and I can't give it away because it's, been sitting out in the wood outside for 2 years.
Not to belabor this HOA conversation too much, but for my final thought on it is, my opinion of it is this: my yard is for everybody else. I maintain my yard for y'all, for all of y'all. I don't care what it looks like because I'm not looking at it every day. I'm inside the house all the time. The inside I care about, but the outside, I don't know. It can be a little eccentric. Me mowing my lawn is for everyone else's benefit. So thank me, I guess. I don't know. Don't persecute me.
Yeah.
It's just, stupid. All right, anything else we should say about this movie? Or any other scenes you want to mention?
No, I think we covered everything I want to cover for sure, especially the ending and the animation. And
I think I might have everything except, once again, all of those fucking cookies that Grandma's making at the beginning of the movie look amazing, and I want to literally eat them all. I want to shove them all into my mouth and then bite them all down all at once and die of bliss.
Fair.
And then just, I really dug the hell out of this movie, and I think it does a better job at being Gremlins than the original Gremlins, and I actually love Joe Dante, so that's, I think, quite a bit of a hot take right there. This is a fun movie, honestly, and if you're looking for a slightly darker fare for a Christmas film, I would pair this up with something like this and the original Black Christmas as two pieces of something a little bit more dark for Christmas, something just a bit more grim, mind you.
It's very grim to put you into rated R territory, unfortunately, which I think the movie would have benefited from. But
start with Black Christmas and then end with this, and I think it'll be a nice little way to end off the holidays.
So after I got done watching this, HBO Max recommended Gremlins and Gremlins 2.
Oh, yes, Gremlins 2, yes!
Which made me laugh. All right, let's go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Kyle, why don't you start us out?
Sure, okay. Shelf Stacker Box. I'm gonna shelf. So let's see here. Shelf. Yeah, I'm gonna shelf the hell out of this movie. I would not only be glad to have this in my collection, but I would easily like to show it off. I hope it has a cool box art, and I would get the fancy edition with the cool box art, and I would show it off because I really dig the hell out of this movie.
All right. On the box. I didn't have a great time. I'm glad I watched it because it's been on my list to watch for years, and I'm glad it won the poll because I've put it on a poll before, or once or twice. It's done. I saw it. It's on this podcast, and I will never watch it again. But I didn't hate it. It didn't do anything for me. So it's gonna go in the box. I'm also not a big Christmas guy in general. So
I get you.
I did like Gremlins a lot though. So, and Bill.
Mhm.
This is also a box for me, not surprisingly. I'm sure it's just bugs me when a movie is opportunity squandered. And while I think this movie does have a lot of good elements to it, I really do think that I can't get past when a really good setup and a lot of good work is kind of thrown away for lesser material. So I'm going to put this in the box. This is not something I would trot out every year for Christmas or even really watch again. If you want to see, again, like I said, this is no violent night. I would say if you want to watch a horror, I guess, Christmas horror movie or something like not anti-Christmas, I guess, Rare Exports is rather good. Really weird.
Good movie.
Yeah, it's really good. I like Rare Exports. I like that much. So I would say watch that instead of this. Again, it's a different take on Christmas. It's weird, very weird, but I like weird. And it kind of goes all in where I don't think this movie quite does. So that's my take. And yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was no violent night. You are 100% right.
I really dug that movie. I
did
I had
too.
such a blast.
I look forward to that movie is perpetually out by where some of my DVDs are by my TV because I know my wife is going to put that on here soon as Christmas gets closer because she loves that movie. So I'm sure I'll be watching it again soon. And Bill, where can people find you at?
As always, A Gamer Looks at 40, a podcast about people's recollections of video games of yore and how those games affected their lives and how those games inspire them or didn't inspire them. And sometimes we just shoot the breeze about games like a lot of other podcasts do. But when you hear this, I'll still be on hiatus, returning January 6th to do Final Fantasy VII. We will be talking about Final Fantasy VII for 2 solid months. So gird your loins, peoples, because it's going to be a long one. But the episodes are shaping up to be interesting. So but I will let you, the discerning listener, decide. Thanks again for having me. And check out A Gamer Looks at 40, A Gamer Looks at 4040.com.
Right. And Kyle, where can we find you at?
Well, you can find me on a couple of different places, including my podcast, the Unidentified Flying Obsession podcast. I will have a new episode coming in about later off this week. It'll be the final episode of the year, and I will be returning back in January with a bunch of new stuff coming in for the new year. I'm really excited. I have people lined up to be my guests on my show, and I'm really, really jazzed. And I'm always happy to do more spin-off episodes of the VGM Love podcast that I do, where I play all sorts of video game music. And you can find me on Instagram at ChibiUFO, where I post all sorts of random pictures and crap of my life. You can also find me on Blue Sky at chibufo.bsky.social, where I post all sorts of random things as well. And you can pretty much find me on all those spaces.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, over 700 episodes of this podcast, you want to hear the rest of our Christmas movie content, that will be all in the show notes. I'm going to make a list for Christmas movies, and I'll put them all in there. So if you want to just click through, you can, and you're in that mood tonight when you're listening to this or whatever, it'll all be down there for you. Definitely go check out all our Christmas content that we've done. And if you want to support the show, we do a Patreon for Little Dog Vote in our Patreon poll. We have 1 to 2 a month. Unfortunately, just 1 lately because I'm still catching up. Getting there. So definitely go check out all the stuff that we do there. And if you want to be on the show, if you want to talk with us, you want to suggest things for the show, if you just want to lurk and make me happy, get the number tick up, join our Discord. You will see a link in the show notes of every episode to do that. Always happy to have new people talk with us. I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Elena at Hell Has Fury. Follow her on TikTok and Instagram. Definitely go check her out. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube, or Games My Mouth, and rate and reviews wherever you get your podcast. I'm always happy to get more reviews and see that number tick up and more people listen to the show. I think that's everything I need to say, so we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.